The tragic tale of Keanu Reeves and Drew Barrymore.
Devastating effects of addiction. Drew Barrymore was just 9 years old while
Bro, it's crazy how Drew Barrymore was actually addicted to drugs when she was a kid, dude. It's crazy, dude.
suffering from the devastating effects of addiction. Because of her Hollywood success, she spent her nights and weekends in clubs with full-grown adults who were supplying her with substances. Dude. As if that wasn't crazy enough, her own mother was the one bringing her to these clubs and parties. With no father figure in her life, bro. Drew had no way out of this darkness. That was until she met one man who understood her struggles on a deeper level, Keanu Reeves. Keanu had also been abandoned by his father. He also had dealt with the complicated life as a child actor. Therefore, he could not live in good conscience if he just watched Drew spiral down even further. And one night while Drew was at rock bottom, Keanu made a decision that would drastically change her future. It's a miracle Drew Barrymore made it out of Hollywood alive. And this is how it happened.
True.
The Barrymore family is one of the largest acting families in entertainment history, going back more than 400 years and spanning 7 generations. The family's roots in theater started.
Do you guys know that the Barrymores was actually like kind of like they're elite family actors? Like royalty actors, I guess you could say.
In 18th century Europe, with Thomas Haycraft Lane and Louisa Roos Lane, who were traveling actors. At that time, traveling actors would move from town to town performing plays in town halls, inns, and even churches. Essentially, wherever they could gather an audience, they would put on a show. The Barrymore name itself was chosen as a stage name by Herbert Blythe, Drew Barrymore's great-grandfather, who became known as Maurice Barrymore. Maurice moved to the United States and married Georgiana Drew, who also came from an acting family. Georgiana's father, John Drew, owned the famous Arch Street Theater in Philadelphia, which was sadly demolished in 1936. Maurice and Georgiana became the parents of 3 legendary actors, Lionel, Ethel, and John Barrymore, who became known as the Royal Family of Broadway. These siblings found major success in theater and film during the late 1800s and early 1900s.
I knew her family was big in Hollywood, but didn't know it went back that far. Yeah, her family is like pretty much elite and when it comes to acting. Like that's her family lineage. That's how back that it goes back that down. Like that's why she has like kind of like special privileges, or she always has special privileges when it comes to acting and getting her in roles and stuff. She had like nepotism times 100. Like you know what I mean? Like you have nepotism obviously, but she had nepotism times 100. And but in her case, she was good acting. She was a good actor. She still was a good actor. So
hundreds. Lionel Barrymore started on Broadway before moving to Hollywood, where he acted in over 200 films, including Grand Hotel and the Dr. Kildare series. He won an Academy Award for Best Actor for his role in A Free Soul. Ethel Barrymore also started as a stage actress who later acted in films and ultimately won an Academy Award for her performance in None But the Lonely Heart. John Barrymore was the most famous of the siblings. He starred in classic movies like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Dinner at 8. Unfortunately, John's son, who was also named John Drew Barrymore, had a lackluster acting career whose most notable appearance was in the TV series Gunsmoke. The family's name was almost entirely extinct from the entertainment industry, so all the pressure to keep the legacy alive fell on one innocent little girl, Drew Barrymore. Drew was born on February 22nd, 1975, and just 11 months later, she would land her first acting role in a commercial for Puppy Chow dog food.
This is a baby, and this is a baby.
Of all things, guys.
Both have special nutritional needs. That's why a baby should have his very own baby food.
Drew Barrymore as a baby actor.
Puppy food.
Barrymore appeared in a couple of TV movies and shows in her early years. At around age 4, she was cast in the TV movie Suddenly Love. Then she had a small role in the horror TV movie Bogey when she was around 5. Immediately after that, she made her first feature film debut in Altered States, which was a 1980 sci-fi horror film directed by Ken Russell. Although her role was small, it opened the door for her next film, which would drastically change her life. At age 6, Drew would secure a major breakthrough acting role in the iconic film E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Oh,
E.T. is about a young boy
yeah.
named Elliot who discovers and befriends a friendly alien stranded on Earth. Elliot and his siblings hide E.T. from the authorities and help him find a way back to his home planet. Drew Barrymore played Gertie, Elliot's younger sister. Gertie is a curious, lovable character who quickly warms up to E.T. and helps her brother keep him a secret.
Elliot, look what I made for you. Is he a boy or a girl? He's a boy. Was he wearing any clothes? No, you can't tell. Not even Mom. Why not? Because, grown-ups can't see them. Only little kids can see them. Give me a break.
Drew's performance stole the hearts of millions around the world. Not only was she adorable, but her innocence represented the
By the way, guys, I haven't watched E.T. like the full movie ever in my life. I only watched clips of it. That's why I know some parts that happens in the movie, but I never watched E.T. the full length video. I just watched clips, so that's why I know I know what it is. We all know the history of E.T. video games. How that video game was complete garbage. It was thrown in garbage, and it's a landfill of that game somewhere.
the joy and wonder that we need to protect and cherish for our children. And it turns out she was just as pure behind the scenes.
Now, I believed E.T. was real.
You asked the wardrobe lady if you could have a scarf for E.T.'s neck, because he was going to get cold.
In June of 1982, E.T. became an instant classic after it grossed a whopping $800 million worldwide on a $10 million.
Bro, how much is that right now?
Budget, which made it the highest grossing film of all time.
Damn,
and held that
dude,
record for
it's
about a decade
crazy.
until it was broken by Jurassic Park.
I mean, it's Jurassic
but
Park.
before we
It's hard
dive
to fight against
deeper,
that.
a quick word from today's sponsor. Underdog is the place to play if you're a fan looking to cash in on all of your favorite athletes' performances. Just call your shot by picking higher or lower on 2 or more players' stats for a shot to win real money. Underdog is available in over 30 states, including California, Georgia, and Texas. Here are my picks for this week's games. New customers can pair my picks.
By the way, guys, there is something I wanted to share with you guys about California. I'll let this
with
play.
this Steph Curry free pick. All he needs is 1 point to win. Underdog will have promos.
I don't get sponsored, guys, because like I'm recording. That's the least I could do.
Throughout November, with something big dropping the week of Turkey Day. Use
let's
promo code
see.
PatrickCC and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Download the app today and turn every bucket into a W with Underdog. Drew Barrymore had a more successful career than 99.
Guys, in California now, if you purchase anything that has to do with digital or as potential digital art, like a video game or something, look at this. Because I bought something from like a Bandai Namco, right, not too long ago. It says right here, if your order contains digital goods, you are purchasing a license for such digital goods. For more information, you can click here. So now every time you buy a digital good now, like a movie or a video game, in California, it will literally legit tell you now, you don't own the game. You own a license to the game. Because one day the game could be gone from from the servers. So if you don't have the game downloaded in your consoles or your PC or something like that, it's gone. It's gone. So they're already pushing it, guys. They're already pushing it. Sorry, I just want to show that.
9% of actors before she barely
In
even
California,
had
at
a
least.
conscious mind. She was what people call today a nepo baby. And while that may
Yeah,
sound like a
nepo
negative
baby,
connotation, nepotism is actually a convoluted subject when you break it down. People often said that acting was in her blood or that she was born to act, meaning that she essentially inherited this amazing window of opportunity built off the hard work of her ancestors. Which is good, but that would also cause some people to hate her because there are so many actors that won't ever get the same
opportunities and all
chances or
that, yeah.
opportunities just because she is related to the right people with the right connections. However, there is a third way to assess nepotism that most people tend to ignore, and it is the ramifications that a child faces later on in life when they are essentially forced into a life or career without having any choice.
Yeah.
Due to the success of E.T., you could argue that she not only honored but carried
You see that a lot on K-dramas.
the legacy of her family's name. Unfortunately, her father did not care. He was
What, Shadow?
merciless, violent, and abusive towards her. Drew's earliest memory of her dad was the time he tossed her into a wall. She was 3 years old. He
What?
also held her hand over the flame of a candle, telling her that pain is imaginary. Talk about someone who was not a careerist. He was like,
What?
I will burn this effing dynasty to the ground, Drew said. Considering her life at home was so dark, it's actually pleasant knowing she found some solace on the set of E.T.
When I came onto the set, I was like, this is my family. Steven can be my dad, you can be like my mom, and you are my brothers.
Barrymore looked at director
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg as a father figure. She says that he is the first person that ever cared about her.
We love each other. I
Wow.
go over to his house.
That's
and
crazy
we
sad.
play games, and we see each other a lot, and we're still best friends.
Yeah, he's like the first person I knew cared.
Now, some people might think it could have done additional damage that Spielberg was kind of like a father figure, but not an actual father. So once it was time for him to move on with his career, he wouldn't be able to provide or care for her like he was when she was on the set of E.T. But Drew says this was not the case.
But isn't it sad when you look back at it? You had to look towards Steven Spielberg, the producer or director of the movie, for a father figure.
What? Who better?
Is it a good thing?
Yeah, it's a great thing. And by the way,
But didn't it crush you when he wasn't available to you? When Steven Spielberg becomes your father figure and he's not really your father, and then you go, where's Steven? I need him.
He was never unavailable to me.
After E.T., her child acting career skyrocketed. Steven then took Drew to Saturday Night Live, in which she became the youngest host in the show's history.
Relax, kid. You're gonna be just fine.
Oh my god, I realized I messed up. I added black on the part where I was not supposed to put black because the arm is supposed to be coming out there.
Tonight.
Hey, come on. Can I get you a glass of milk, honey?
Milk? I'm a Barrymore. Get me a drink and make it a double.
If only they knew that Get Me a Drink and Make It a Double wasn't
a
exactly a
joke. That's
Sadly, at
fucking
just
crazy,
9 years
dude.
old, Drew Barrymore's battle with addiction had begun. Her mother Jade got divorced from Drew's father and started solo parenting, which
so
led to her
crazy,
mother taking
dude.
Drew to the famous New York nightclub.
Just thinking about that, dude. A 9-year-old drinking and doing drugs, dude. The most I heard or I've seen is like kids smoking weed or like in that kind of sense, right? That is really bad, all right? Don't get me wrong. That is horrendously bad, but with her, it's like taking it to the next level. Oh, I never drank or smoked. It wasn't me. I was not. Yeah, I was not doing
Club
that.
Studio 54. This club was highly exclusive, reserved for Hollywood elites to indulge in substances and animalistic fantasies. From the age of 8,
What's your content? My content is doing art, either traditional or painting sometimes. Sometimes it's chill. Don't get it. And sometimes I do reaction videos. While I'm trying to focus on finishing the piece to a certain time frame because I'm trying to finish certain projects before I go like because okay, so when you're doing art, you know how like art sometimes you're like I think you keep silent because you're focusing on the art. Hey, they're gonna follow, appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like I'm focusing on the art, so I'm silent. I'm not talking too much, right? So for me, I use videos as a way for me to continue the conversation and entertainment going instead of fully like just being silent. I can't be silent like that. I'm not really built that way. So I use videos to help me with the content and the way that I do with my art sometimes. So like see, like we're almost done with this section right here. I'm about to start on the gold version, by the way. Talk to him on the
8, Drew called herself a party girl, going out with her mother and her mother's friends to up to 5 times a week. I had a mom, but she was more like my best friend, said Barrymore. She was like, do you want to go to school and get bullied all day? Or do you want to go to Studio 54? And I was like, yes, absolutely. In Drew's 1990 book called Little Girl Lost, she describes what it was like to go to Studio 54. And there was nothing as invigorating as walking in and being engulfed by the thud of blasting music and the swirl of flashing lights. It was Disneyland for adults. Only I got to be a part of it. We went out pretty regularly, sometimes once a week, and other times.
Like I said, guys, imagine a 9-year-old. You go to a club, you see a 9-year-old partying it up with you, and the 9-year-old's drinking and doing drugs.
Up to 5, but nothing was ever enough for me. Being the youngest person at every party spoiled me.
Crazy.
People treated me like a little toy, always telling me how cute I was, patting me on the head, or giving me a playful squeeze. However, since I was dependent on my mom, I couldn't always go when I wanted, which was all the time. This led to numerous arguments. I'd want to go out and party, my mom would want to stay home. I'd storm out anyway. She tells stories of using her little girl charm to convince grown men to give her alcohol. Can I have a sip of your beer? I asked. Yeah, sure, he said, handing me the bottle. I'm sure he thought it was cute to give a little kid a sip of beer, but I quickly downed the remainder of his bottle. Hey, I said a sip, he said, taking the empty from me. Sorry, I shrugged coyly. That's okay. You know, you just gave me my first beer, I said. Really? He said. Cool.
Well, I've grown up very fast, and it's not very normal to see a
9-year-old at a big
Hollywood party drinking. And
if you guys think you guys are party animals, you ain't not anything like Drew Barrymore.
You know, I dare you to do this, and I did, and I got really drunk, and it was such a scary, frightening feeling, yet it was such an escape from everything else in the world that I had a very liking to it.
It's important to know that Jade did not encourage, nor did she really know that Drew was drinking alcohol, because Drew did everything she could to hide it. Then again, she wasn't really supervising Drew either. Like, what do you expect to happen when you bring a kid to bars and parties surrounded by adults multiple nights per week? Eventually, they're gonna get curious and want to try that drink that every adult around them is indulging in.
So you started drinking at 9?
Mm-hmm.
To prove a point, or to feel good, or to get drunk, or what?
Well, I didn't really know. I mean, when I was 8, I had had 2 glasses of champagne, and boom, I was like tipsy and, you know, bubbly and the life of the party. And I felt so good. All my problem had seemed, you know, to disappear for that hour that I was out of it. And I didn't realize that until I was 9 and I started casually drinking and realized,
Where would you get alcohol from at 9?
Parties, friends, bars, clubs.
What were you doing at bars at 9?
I think we're getting it stuff. You drank at a young age? How young? Okay, so when I was growing up like, I guess mid-hood. It's not hood, but mid-hood. The only thing I've seen was like kids smoking weed when I was in middle school and high school. That's what I saw when I was younger. But I think like her case was like worse because it was drugs and alcohol. With them was weed, which is really bad. I mean, obviously don't do that. But that's the craziest thing I've seen was like kids smoking weed and that kind of thing. Yeah, there you go. All right, so I'll be adding. I had mine like samurai, by the way. So all right, cool. I'll be adding yours soon. Thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. Pacham on you. Back to the video.
A lot of the time it was for parties that I was invited to. A lot of the time I would walk up and they would be like, oh, it's little Drew Barrymore. Come right in, good publicity, you know?
Even though Drew was excited to participate in the adult party scene, even she knew something was wrong with her circumstances. She was desperate for more strong male figures in her life, and luckily in 1986, she would meet one, and his name was Keanu Reeves.
Really?
Drew landed a lead role in a made-for-television Christmas musical called Babes in Toyland alongside Keanu.
Obscure masterpiece, Babes in Toyland.
Sometimes obscurity's good, but there was a good heart in that piece.
We had so much fun making it.
It was crazy. And Richard Mulligan, Jill Sholin.
Babes in Toyland was about a young girl named Lisa who was transported to Toyland, a magical place under threat from the villainous Barnaby Barnacle. With the help of her new friends, Lisa goes on an adventure to save Toyland and restore holiday cheer. The movie received largely negative reviews, but Drew is grateful this film brought her and Keanu together.
I feel like I would look around and see the behaviors of the people that I wanted to be like one day, and they were always the kind, humble, gracious, hardworking, lovely examples. You are so that.
I don't know. That's kind of you to say that. Kind of you to say. I mean, I love what I do, right? I mean, I love acting. I like rolling up the sleeves. I like going to work, and we ain't doctors, saving lives, you know? But we do.
I can relate to that. I love making art, man. Every day.
Now, Keanu.
Every day I wake up, I come up with a brand new freaking idea for art. Like, this is one thing, guys. Even though I don't make it as an artist, I will tell you guys this. I don't think I will ever quit art. I will find a way to do art in some way because it brings me to peace. Of all the shit in the world, of all the toxic shit in the world on Twitter, art brings me peace. Because I'm creating my own ideas. I'm thinking for myself. I'm not thinking about other people. I'm just creating what I want to create. You know what I mean? Especially when I do original characters, right? Especially those. Like, don't get me wrong, with fan art, I just do what I want to. But with original characters, like a special kind of freedom with that because I'm creating what I want to create. I don't care what people think about it. I don't care if like people are gonna like or dislike it in a certain extent, right? Because it's just good therapy for me. Do you guys have anything like that in your guys' life? Like, where you guys have like something that you like doing, when nobody else telling you to do it, and it's just like good therapy. And some people find that with like washing dishes, believe it or not. Some people find that with like, I don't know, cleaning your whole house to a certain point, right? People find that with like even on their jobs. Wood burning, there you go. Yeah, see, there you go. It's good to have hobbies, guys. It really is good. You don't have to be like really like Twitter. I'll say Twitter or something like social media wise should not be a good hobby. All right, get something that's just only for you, pretty much. That makes sense. Even if you're sharing to the world, but it's like you're doing it for yourself. You know, you're not doing it because you feel like you're doing it. Just like streaming, I do it for myself. You know, like cause like with streaming, it's like sometimes I get good days, but and then quote unquote I get bad days, and people like like in people's eyes like if I don't get a lot of subs or I want to get like donations or something I could care less. You know, like I'm grateful that people that they subscribe to my channel, do all the whole thing. But I do this because I find it fun just watching videos, hanging out, drawing art, talking with everybody I come across in and stuff. Um, because again, it's like I keep saying this, like if I was in it for anything else, I would have quit a long time ago, right? Because like, I'm not making enough money. Why am I keep doing it? You know, like, because again, like, I'm not getting enough attention. Why am I doing it? I don't get enough followers today. Why am I doing it? Well, I don't get enough subs today. Why am I doing it? It's just because I just enjoy it. I just enjoy doing. I just enjoy it. Here we go. Yeah, sometimes I stream with like 0 viewers. Sometimes I stream with 5 viewers. Sometimes I stream with 20 viewers. Sometimes I get put in front page. Thank you, Kick. Appreciate it. Like it's all over the place, but I still have fun at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And that should be very important to you guys. Like we're like just do something for you and have fun with it. Like, look, I could be like any other content creator and go for the cloud chase, right? And do some very toxic stuff. And then like do a whole redemption arc later. But I'm not doing that.
Is extremely humble. He doesn't take credit for the compliment and tries to just move past it and start talking about acting. But Drew wasn't complimenting him about his acting, and he knew that. He knew that she was talking about him being a positive role model for her, who at the time was a troubled child. And despite Drew recognizing that Keanu could be a positive figure in her life, they had no means of remaining in contact. But little did she know he would be there for her again at her lowest moment. Drew's alcohol use was not exclusive to party nights out with her mom. After school and on weekends with friends, she did everything she could to get loaded. By the time Drew was 11, she and the oldest boy had graduated from what they considered to be boring childish games to more mature activities, like raiding his parents' liquor supply and drinking themselves into a stupor that had them sleeping away the better part of the next day. By 12, they added pot smoking and were getting stoned as often as possible. Drew even experimented with cocaine at age 12.
Oh my god.
Probably was one night, I usually got to a point where I couldn't do anymore, or I didn't want anymore. Usually I stopped after a while. But one night I just kept going and going and going, and nothing, I was partying for like 10 hours straight, or 12, 15 hours straight, and I just didn't stop, and I just like went out
this is the wrong
for a
half.
long time, and it was really scary.
This is
and
half.
I became a blackout drinker.
Naturally, you're probably wondering, how did it get this bad? Where was her mother? And how was Drew even able to hide this from her? Well, you have to remember that it was the 80s, where it wasn't uncommon for children, even as young as 8, to roam about in their neighborhoods with friends all day and return home in the evening. They had more independence, but instead of
I think my era is the last time they did that. I mean, I'm pretty sure kids still go outside, don't get me wrong, but I feel like my era is where, like, I know I'm freaking old now talking. It's where like the internet just started. You know what I mean? It was literally just started. The internet is not old. So my era was the beginning of that, where like we grew up with like no internet, and then grew up with there was internet available for everybody. Because back then it was like the internet was existing, but it wasn't available for everybody. It wasn't easy access to get it. It was a luxury thing to have. Now it's still like a luxury thing to have, honestly, like internet. Let's be honest. But it's a lot more accessible than it was back then. You're not old until you feel it. Yeah, true. But like, I'm gonna be freaking honest, man. Ever since my car accident, I feel a lot older because I feel more vulnerable than ever. Oh, that's another thing too, man. That's the reason why, like, I don't care a lot of stuff that's going on right now. Cause, like, hey, bro, I was close to death. I don't give a shit what's going on right now. I'm focused on myself right now. I'm being selfish. I'm sorry.
Playing on the playground or riding bikes, Drew was smoking cigarettes and drinking beer, and Jade was not supervising or guiding her.
And where were you when she was going to parties and bars at 9?
I was never with her at bars at 9, but I would go with her to parties. There were a lot of industry functions and then private social/business functions. And when we got there, we would stay together for time. Then she would go her way and I would go my way. And not knowing about the problem, I was not as scrutinizing as I should have been.
You just decided to just let her have some space?
Yes.
9 or 10, that's exactly the age where you need some guidance, some definition, you don't need a parent to back off and give you space at 9 or 10, especially if you were where Drew was at that time.
Part of it was the fact that I didn't have a dad. I felt like my mom was abandoning me because she was always off at work.
And to get a glimpse at what lying to her mother might look like, here is Drew at 12 years old on national television using her charm to lie to Joan Rivers about her partying at the Helena nightclub.
So, gonna be 12, but you go out late at night. I saw you, Drew Barrymore, cha-cha-cha, at Helena's at like midnight.
Really?
Damn.
Oh, okay. Now see, there's an explanation. Okay, see, Helena, I really don't go to clubs. I mean, people think, oh yeah, she's like she goes out every night. That is not true. See, Helena is my godmother, so I like to visit her every once in a while. Very seldom, but I mean.
Anthony Kiedis, lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, wrote about a time seeing a 14-year-old Drew Barrymore at Studio 54. I did a double take when I saw 14-year-old Drew Barrymore at the bar, drinking with the Bukowski crowd. She was adorable, spoke with a potty mouth, and carried on as if she were in her 20s. I was straining to approach her but backed off. I'd been in enough trouble. The next time I looked, she was gone. A couple nights later, she reappeared in the same spot at the middle of the bar, entertaining the bartender. I pulled the trigger this time, and whatever I had to say, she bought. Anthony was 27 years old at the time, seemingly admitting to fantasizing about a 14-year-old. And if you think that might be a stretch, in his 2004 biography, he told a story about sleeping with a girl who confessed to him that she was 14 years old the next day. Then he admitted to sleeping with her one more time after knowing her age, seemingly trapped in an endless cycle.
Hollywood, dude. Fucking Hollywood, man. Not Red Hot Chili Peppers, dude. Oh my god, man. I did not know that. I legit did not know that. Fucking Hollywood, man. The fucking music industry, Hollywood, all together, man, are fucking disgusting. The sad thing is, no clarification. No. Bro, oh my god, man. It gets worse. No, actually, it is worse. We just don't know the full picture of all these things, right? And we're gonna get a more bigger picture, by the way, next year with the P. Diddy case. I promise you guys that. Because it's gonna be a public case, by the way, where like people are gonna be like, it's not gonna be like in like cameras or anything like that, but it's gonna be like more with like interviews, transcripts coming out. Like a lot of stuff gonna come out in the P. Diddy case. I promise you guys. And it's gonna be a big part of the music industry / Hollywood industry.
Of drug addiction and surrounded by predators, all while trying to navigate the pressures of fame, working a full-time job, going to school, and thinking her mother doesn't care about her. Drew felt all of her problems would go away if she just did not wake up one morning. And at age 13, she attempted to make that her reality, but luckily, she was unsuccessful. Her mother recalled the incident saying, "She told me in confidence that it was nothing but a bid for attention," Jade says scornfully. Jade sent her daughter to an 18-month stint in a mental health facility in Van Nuys, California, where she was treated for addiction.
And when you go through those 2 doors, you do not come out. And I was there for a year and a half. I hated it. I kicked, I screamed. 1 minute you're at movie premieres and clubbing, and the next minute you're in a full-blown institution.
Drew's treatment was tough. She had to follow a strict, military-like routine. She had to do her schooling, then attend group therapy, and one-on-one therapy sessions. But as a rambunctious child, she could not help but act out.
And you couldn't mess around in there, and if you did, you would get thrown either in the padded room or get put in stretcher restraints and tied up.
Why were you so bad that you had to go in the padded room?
I grew up, you know, with like the Go-Go's and Wendy O. Williams and Blondie and all these like badass chicks, and I just sort of would like, you know, channel my inner riot girl. And I, you know.
By the way, guys, this is not wine. This is what do you call it? This is the apple juice. All right. This is not wine. This is sparkling cider. All right. U.S. grown fresh apples do not contain alcohol. All right. I'm not drinking alcohol. All right, just to make that very clear.
Some days it was really funny. I would rile up all the girls and I'd be like, listen, this place, these people don't care about you. Let's fucking show them, all right, everybody. I would totally rile the entire joint up.
At first, Drew hated that her freedom had been stripped away from her, but then she gradually started to come around to the idea that she was getting the help that she desperately needed. From there, she began to confront her addictive behaviors and her underlying childhood trauma. It was the institution that suggested she legally separate from her mother and be declared an adult at 14. Barrymore says the experts there believed that if she were to go back out into the world, she'd be better off on her own. Just at the age most kids become freshmen in high school, Drew was living on her own in LA as a 14-year-old.
Imagine people telling you, yeah, your mom's not unfit to be your mom, because if you go back with your mom, you're gonna go back to this addiction. So you have to leave your mom. Like, holy, imagine somebody tell you that. You gotta leave your mom, dude. Don't go back. Don't go back to your mom.
Legal adult.
When I first lived in my apartment, that I was so scared, and the truth was is that I would let the laundry and dishes and everything pile up. I didn't know how to clean. But this was where I learned how to take care of myself. You know, the books were the school, and this was like the domestic journey of learning how to live on your own.
At 13? Well,
Kids
okay,
don't
never
know how to
mind.
take care of
Never
themselves
mind.
until you teach them.
Drew had incredible resilience. Unfortunately, word had spread throughout the industry that she was a drug-addicted lost cause, and nobody wanted to hire her for more acting roles. They just wrote me off as damaged goods, and I, sadly, understood that. Drew remained on the straight and narrow for 6 months, working at a coffee shop and trying to assimilate back into the real world. Sadly, she slipped back to her old ways.
Right, and on my 6th-month day, I celebrated by getting loaded. Yeah, really. Way to go, Drew. I got loaded that time because I wasn't doing it for myself at all. I was doing it to, like, not really impress everybody, but it had gotten out months before that I had a problem, and it was on the cover of the tabloids and everything. And I was so sick of hearing about it, I thought, okay, I'll just prove it to them, and I'll shut them up, and I'll do this. So when I was staying sober that time, I was doing it for everybody else.
Yeah.
And you just can't stay sober that way because you have to want it for yourself.
Drew seemingly accepted that her future was over. She would just live the rest of her life looking for her next high, and she had to, because the only way she could mask her shame was through drugs and alcohol. And although he is not a man of many words, Keanu Reeves understood Drew on a deeper level. Keanu's father, Samuel Reeves, struggled with substance abuse. He was in and out of prison for selling heroin until he ultimately abandoned his family when Keanu was just 3 years old. From there, he had various different men in and out of his life while his mother was dating. He lacked a father figure, just like Drew. Additionally, he was kind of an outcast in Hollywood like Drew. Early in his career, Keanu's agents told him that his name was too ethnic, which led to him temporarily changing his name to KC or Casey Reeves.
Bro, hey, your name is too kind. It's too good. We need to put some toxic in you.
Sure, he did eventually find success on the big screen, but his personal life did not get easier. In 1993, he lost his best friend and fellow actor, River Phoenix. In 99, he lost what would have been his one and only child after the baby was stillborn 8 months into his girlfriend's pregnancy. Although he and his girlfriend separated, they remained good friends, and she tragically passed away in a car accident less than 2 years after they lost their child. Keanu had every reason to be spiteful, angry at the world, and spiral into darkness. And despite all of these tragedies,
yeah, I didn't know that, bro. He lost his kid and lost the girl that
weren't his fault. He somehow remained humble, kind, and caring for others. Although he gets praised for gifting his stunt crew custom Rolexes, gifting motorcycles to fellow cast members, or taking multi-million-dollar pay cuts to save films, he shows his true character through small acts of kindness, like showing up to his fans' weddings, giving his seat up to a woman on the subway, spending time with homeless people on the street, or taking time to speak with and listen to his young fans. So while seeing Drew at her lowest moment, he knew it was time for him to do something. On her 16th birthday, while Drew was in the club partying, Keanu Reeves tapped her on the shoulder. He was about to change her life.
I was at this club and it was my 16th birthday, and you came in and you walked in and you grabbed my hand and you took me outside. You put me on your motorcycle.
Oh my.
And you took me on the ride of my life, and I was so free. I was such a free human being. It was just this moment where I just remember loving life. I hold it so dear because the older we get, the harder it is to get to that feeling.
Keanu and Drew raced through Los Angeles on a motorcycle, giving her the feeling of freedom and bliss while being protected by someone she knew genuinely cared about her.
The reason I love your reputation so much is because I want to live my life by that. Is to be a good person, like at my job, with my kids, with my friends, in no such order. But there's a problem I have with rebellion and authority.
No, rebellion is good.
It is?
It is, of course. You can't just kick out rebellion. Rebellion is usually a thoughtful gesture.
Even though it feels so impulsive?
Yeah, but it feels good.
Yes, it does!
And if you're barking and, you know, it depends on what you do with your bite.
Drew saw life in a whole different perspective. She realized that giving into her addictions is not rebellion, that is surrender. Alcohol and partying was tying her down, not freeing her. Keanu was living proof that you can overcome your trauma, and after that night with him, she had to ask herself, am I gonna get back into acting and get my life together?
And I had to ask myself, like, did I really want to fight and prove to myself that I wanted to be here? And the answer was a really genuine yes. Like, it was my love. It was my passion. It's what my family has done since the silent films and theater and into the talkies. Like, I feel a genetic cosmic pull, and I love storytelling, and I love it. And that was a really cool revelation for me, that I love what I do and I'm not doing it for anyone else or for the wrong reasons.
From there, Drew slowly started to rebuild her acting career, landing a role in the film Poison Ivy at age 17. Although the movie wasn't a blockbuster hit, it proved she could focus, stay clean, and work in the industry. Many of her roles for the next few years were smaller, lesser-known films. She focused a lot more on producing and writing, seeing as working behind the scenes was more manageable and creatively stimulating for her. And whenever times got tough, she thought back to people like Keanu.
Until now, we have both had the privilege and fortune to keep going.
Yeah.
And what a gift and a blessing that is.
Yeah.
Drew went on to have a spectacular career, landing prominent roles in blockbuster hits like Batman Forever, the horror classic Scream, Never Been Kissed, Donnie Darko, Charlie's Angels, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, 50 First Dates, Fever Pitch, and countless other hits.
Oh, 50 First Dates is the classic, bro. Ever After is so good. Yeah, I mean, that's what I also got to tell you guys. Like, when things are dark, you can still get out of it, kind of thing. As cheesy as that sounds, you know. This is like one of these stories where, like, damn, like, the fuck am I doing? You know. That's what, like, when I hear these stories, it's also like it's also like a feel good thing kind of thing, because like it does tell you like, oh, it's never too late kind of thing, you know. Because again, I hate going back to my accident, but it's like my accident was like really changed my life, because for obvious reasons, for like not just physical, but because I was at a point where like, oh, I can no longer do art no more. And so what the fuck am I gonna do? Is all I known to do, like literally for my whole life. But it's like, we'll make the best of it. Whatever happens, wherever I get my hand, if it does come back, cool, and we'll figure it out from there. But if not, we just have to figure it out and just do the thing. I could have easily just stopped doing art. Easily. I was literally at a point where I was like, could have stopped, could have quit, move on with my life. Like, and art was the thing that I used to do. But no, I decided, you know what? Let's see if we could learn how to make art with 3 fingers. It's not complete different what I used to make it before, but 3 fingers, practice, kind of practice. It came a little bit natural, a little bit. But yeah, I just continue doing it, and that's why I still continue doing art right to this day, to like I'm doing right now. I could have easily just been like, fuck it, I don't want to do this shit no more, but yeah.
In 2009, she delivered one of her most praised performances in the HBO film Grey Gardens, earning a Golden Globe Award and a Screen Actors Guild Award. This highlighted her versatility and growth as an actress over her 30-year Hollywood career. Drew continues working in front and behind the camera, but has ultimately settled into becoming a full-time mother and talk show host with her very own show called The Drew Barrymore Show, which is currently on its 5th season. Now, there are many factors that led to Drew surviving the depths of addiction and the ramifications of a terrible childhood. And let's not minimize the lifetime of hard work that she put in to overcome her setbacks. But Keanu's actions started a butterfly effect of her becoming the prosperous and gracious person we know today. You never know what somebody else is going through. And even if you think you do, simply...
Yeah, you just gotta get used to it, I don't know about tattoos, because tattoo is like more of a dangerous thing, right? Because again, like tattoo, you're working with a needle, you could like really hurt someone. But I'm pretty sure there are ways to like, you could like learn how to like straighten your arm and your nerve damage, like your nerves and stuff. But again, tattoo is like a whole different level, right? So like, I think it's like I think there are ways to practice, right? To like learn to get your hand strong enough to control the tattoo, the tattoo gun. Sorry, I can't speak. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's gotta like learn, because I understand, because like the feeling a little bit weird. He's gotta learn the feeling, whatever you could feel, and use that, and like kind of I don't know. It's kind of weird explaining, but it's like as long as you have the strength to it, like with your hand, it should be fine for the most part. You just gotta get used to like the feeling of it. That's the biggest thing. Well, at least for me.
The smallest act of virtue can drastically change the outcome of their future. So next time you have a chance to act, ask yourself, what would Keanu Reeves do?
Go on an epic motorcycle ride. Keanu being a W for the 100 billion times. Is the real deal. Visited our office years back. We were a manufacturer part of his motorcycle brand. He was touring our facility, and I was tasked with shooting photos of him with the various employees, and one of them was done to recognize that. I wasn't comfortable approaching him, so he introduced himself to me. One of the very few that didn't succumb to Hollywood and remains good. Oprah's condescending attitude towards a little kid speaks volumes. Keanu Reeves says the human world needs, but the one it doesn't deserve right now. I'm 90 days sober today. That hit the right time. That's good. 90 days, 3 months. Crazy. That's getting close to half a year. Little story. I'm so glad you shared it. During Keanu, both you seem like a good people despite all this they've seen and gone through. Yeah, looks like oh my god, Red Hot Chili Peppers are gonna be on the DD tapes. Oh my god. Nah, guys, you'd be surprised what people got away with back in the day. Back in the day, guys, not many people care about age as much, like crazy like that. And what I mean by that, I remember in middle school and high school, I see girls who are like 15 to 14 years old dating guys who are like in their 20, 25. And a lot of people didn't see that, like that's crazy. And I know, and I'm speaking like in like early 2000s. I'm not speaking like 70s, or because I'm not that old, but like early 2000s. It was just like they just did it. Like the girls just dated older men around 2025. It's fucking weird now. It was weird back then, but it wasn't weird it was weird to call it out back then, which is like really weird, you know. It's yeah, it was just a it was a weird dynamic back then. I can feel the feeling without the tenants. Ah, okay. So I have to go off the sight and sounds. Ah, okay, okay. Older guys, better, more mature, more mature. Yeah, social norm. Yeah, it was like really weird back then. Yeah, very weird. But yeah, it was very weird, very strange. But yeah, good video overall. Sorry, I went overboard, but yeah, good video.